Just like the street lights lit this town, like a fire in a blaze, gotta burn it down. Can't be afraid to leave this out. We got this far, don't know how. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we gonna light it up. Tonight, we gonna light it up. Tonight, we gonna light it up. Just like the sunrise, we gonna light it up. Just like a spark that's breaking out. Can't make a stop, can't turn back now. We know that there's no room for doubt. No, we can't turn back now. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we gonna light it up. Tonight, we gonna light it up. Tonight, we gonna light it up. Just like the sunrise, we gonna light it up.
Ember. Oh, Ember.
Miss Ember.
Oh, great, Ember. Tell me what I'm doing.
Hey, Ember. How you doing?
Appreciate you, Ember. Love Ember. She's great.
We will be yelling at Ember.
Bottom of the barrel Ember bullshit.
Oh my God, Ember. Ember. Ember.
Ember.
Embers.
Ember.
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 We love you, Ember.
You rock at that, Ember.
We're neighbors, Ember.
Ember is the queen.
What's up, Ember?
I see you, Ember.
But hey, Ember is hot.
Hello, everyone. Happy Wednesday. Oh, I had tech glitches in the middle of the opening. I had to leave and restart StreamYard while the opening was running. Adventures in live broadcasting. Thank you all so much for joining. Oh goodness. Deviant will be joining us, the last I heard, but she's not here yet. But that's okay because I have some notes and I have lots and lots of stuff to talk about. And hopefully she'll be along soon and we can get some expert deviant knowledge on the Amarna letters. Which, okay, so if you don't know, back in the dim and ancient times, Egypt was like the super powerhouse of a kingdom, and there were a bunch of other kingdoms. There was Babylon, and there was Assyria, and there were the Canaanites, and all this sort of other stuff. But Egypt was like this vast power. Well, the kings all had to write letters to each other, and they mostly seem to have used Akkadian or something like that. And so they would like send disinformation letters and lie about each other. And a little while back, somebody dug up one of the pharaoh's old palaces and found a bunch of that mail. And it's fascinating. Speaking of the deviant, there she is. Hello.
Hi. Oh my goodness. I lost sight of time, and then I was like, oh my goodness, it's over 5 o'clock, we're starting. And I was gonna join the link and it didn't work, and I'm super confused, super stressed, and do not feel ready at all.
That's all right. It's morning for me. Time is even weirder for you. But
Yeah.
I have notes, as I so often do. I've got a couple of things that are developing. I was gonna entertain you all with the tale of the derp squad of a man named King Critical, but that continues to be a developing story. So I'm gonna hold off on that while things keep happening, because it just keeps getting funnier. So we'll leave off on that for now. But I do have other stuff to show y'all. As you know, I've been building pride flags out of space imagery, and I've been trying to add more and more. And so I made the lesbian flag. This is not yet available on the store. I wanted to give y'all a first peek. It turns out lesbians are indecisive, and there are dozens of lesbian pride flags. There's 3 main ones, though. There's the 7-stripe one, there's a 5-stripe one, which is the same as the 7-stripe one, but with one color removed from each side to make it simpler to produce, because there's a bunch of other 5-stripe flags and 7 is too complicated. But if we're doing space imagery, it doesn't matter. It's going to be complicated anyway. So 7 means more space. And then there's also a battle axe one, which was very tempting, but there's a couple of complications with it, not the least of which being it's one big purple field, which is good, but it's only one image, and then a black triangle, which has its own implications dating back to Nazi times, and a big old battle axe, which is also cool, but there's imagery issues. Whereas the striped lesbian flags, the stripes have trans inclusivity in them, and this is a really cool thing. The lesbian flag has trans inclusivity built into it before there even was a trans flag. That's pretty inclusive.
Cool.
And this is this kind of shit. This is why lesbians get to be at the front of the acronym, the LGBTQIA2S+. However far you want to go with it. It's sort of like pi. You know, at a certain point, you just put a plus at the end of it, but you can keep going for a while. This is why today I mostly say GSM or GSRM, because it's more inclusive and much easier to say. But lesbians get to go to the front because originally they called it the gay rights movement. But after the AIDS crisis in the 80s, the lesbians stepped up big time and helped gay men not completely die out. And so in recognition, the lesbians moved to the front. Same thing here. The lesbians were fighting for trans rights before there really was an organized effort to fight for trans rights specifically.
That's
so
pretty cool. I have to ask, because as we all know, the Americans, they love their acronyms. Absolutely love them.
It's true.
But what does GSMRI stand for?
Yeah, gender and sexual minorities.
Oh, okay.
And is romantic, so it'd be gender, sexual, and romantic minorities to be arrow inclusive, because romantic spectrum isn't necessarily anything to do with either gender or sexuality.
This is true.
Yeah.
This is true.
It's just it's weird, because like the whole reason that GSM was introduced was because so many people were having such a hard time with LGBTQIA2S+. They're like, you know what? Let's just simplify the concept. Gender and sexual minorities. And then immediately people were like, what about romantic spectrum though? They're like, the point is to have it simple and very few letters, and people are like, but it's explicitly not included. Fuck. And this is the fight we have on the left side of things, is we want to have like broad umbrellas that can be inclusive of everybody. We want to be actively inclusive. But then we've got movements where representation matters. This is a premise we all agree upon. And there's people who try to leverage that to say, my group needs to specifically be actively represented, not just passively included in the umbrella. And so we end up with really long initialisms. and
Yeah, I
flags
mean,
interesting things. We don't have a good solution yet because we've got these two different ideas that we're trying to make harmonize.
yeah. So for me, it's very maybe not confusing, but can be very hard to remember, because in English I usually go with just LGBTQI. Sometimes I add a plus, but that's not the acronym in Swedish. In Swedish, it's HBTQI plus. So there are kind of two different set of acronyms that also has when I was in like 7th or 8th grade, I think it was in 8th grade that first time we had representatives from the Swedish like association, let's say, for gay and lesbian and bi. So back then it was just, and they came and of course talked about it and gave everyone a bunch of condoms, and
as one does.
and it's super fun because they said something like every 1 in 10 people, so 10% of the population, give or take, are not heterosexual, so LGBTQI plus. And I remember sitting in the classroom and counting my classmates, going like 1, 2, 3, 4, and every one it landed on. And fun thing, it landed on me. And I was like, yeah, I'm not gay. And then like 13 years later, after having left the abusive environment I was brought up in and all the indoctrination from there and everything, I finally could admit to myself that maybe I'm not completely straight when I've been madly in love with my girlfriend, female friend, for years. Maybe I'm not completely straight. But yeah, that was fun.
I think everybody has to deal with that at some point. And I wish it were part of our educational systems. I mean, every country does education differently. But like one of the things that we learned a little bit in English class, but never got taught to generalize, is when we come across an idea that we instinctively recoil from without addressing, it's super important to go, hold on, why does that bother me? And really look into that, because if you don't understand why you're recoiling, and as a consequence, virtually every queer person has had to deal with a moment where they recoil from something like attraction to somebody they think they're not supposed to be attracted to, and they have to come face to face with, why do I feel like I'm not allowed to rather than I don't? Because if I didn't want to be attracted, there just wouldn't be anything there to recoil against,
Right. And I think because I have spent a lot of time thinking about this and like the level of denial that I had to have been in, because as I said, I was madly in love with this girl that was a friend of mine, and I knew I was in love with her, but I wasn't, because of course I wasn't gay, because that's gay. And like that's just one example. There were other, I mean, over time there were different girls that I had a crush on, and it was always the women in movies, etc., that I was attracted to. Even porn. Like I didn't watch porn for the men. They were they could just leave the stage. I want to look at the women, and still I couldn't like bring myself to. I even told a friend of mine who came out to me as gay, and when she did that, I told her that I was bisexual, and I knew it was true, and it was not like I was lying or trying to connect with her in some weird way. Uh, but it still didn't land with me until like seven, let's see, not 7 years later, but say 3 or 4 years later. And I think it had to, because as you said, when you recoil like that, you have to ask yourself, why? Why is this? And I think I would have done that if it wasn't for the fact that my daily life, just going through from one day to the other, was connected with so much stress and daily trauma, and just trying to keep on existing, that it was very easy to swipe that sort of thing under the carpet. And also it would not have served me if at that point I would have. It was much more important for me to get a grip of what the fuck is going on in this house, and why am I the only one seeing it, and how do I survive? So I think it's important for us to also not blame our former and younger selves for not taking that, taking on the mantle or challenging ourselves. I think it's very important to be kind to our younger selves and remember that they did the best they could under the circumstances. And the important thing is they survived. And once they were more safe than before, they did everything they could to change. And I'm telling you that, Amber. So listen to me. You should always listen to me, Amber.
I do. But on that note, I came across a really cool thing this morning, randomly, and this is very, very random. But I wanna share it with y'all once I find where I put the damn link. When I went to turn on the YouTube on my Gizmo so I could go up and eat breakfast, the algorithm showed me this nifty video, which I cannot play because it is a song, but I'll put a link for it for y'all in the live chat. It's a trans person who did a duet with his past self, singing a song about changing for them.
Oh.
it's Coldplay's Yellow. It's unfucking real. It's so well done, and it spans 8 years between, the before and after. Both versions are really good singers, and the meaning is just there, and it's so cool. It's one of the most beautiful things I've ever fucking seen.
I will have to copy that link, and I can't really. I mean, of course, I could listen to it now, but it would be kind of weird.
I will just DM it to you for later. It's super easy, barely an inconvenience.
Oh, good.
Yeah. All right. So I also do have other flags in the works, incidentally. But before we move into our main thing, I do want to show, I think it was Jason asked about a battle axe. Yeah, there's a battle axe flag.
That is fucking hardcore. I love it.
Mm-hmm. This is called the Labris flag, the Labris lesbian flag. You can look up all the details about it if you want, but it's one of the older ones. It dates from back in the 1970s. It may have been like the second pride flag after the rainbow one, because even though the rainbow one was originally supposed to be all inclusive, most people immediately associated it with gay men. And so the lesbians are like, no, we have our own flag. The battle axe is a reference to the Amazons. The black triangle inverted is a reference to the pink triangle that gay men had to wear.
That's what I was thinking.
Lesbians had to wear a black triangle because it meant they were antisocial, which was Nazi code for lesbian. They didn't like the attentions of men, so they're antisocial.
Of course. Yeah, I knew that the black was for like antisocial, but I actually didn't know that I thought that well, I have had two ideas about lesbians, and one being that they had to wear the same pink triangle as gay men, and the other being that they probably weren't that how do you say it, in the focus. And if someone weren't, I mean, rape were kind of a thing, and forcing women whether they wanted to or not, and that sort of thing. But openly gay women, I actually thought they wore the pink triangle. So I learned something. We are learning together live.
Ta-da! Okay,
Ta-da!
thanks everyone for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow.
Bye-bye.
We learned a thing. We're done here.
Oh, look. Yeah, so I was thinking, we're talking about the Amarna letters.
Yes.
And the reason that I've actually been super stressed out over this, and I kind of still am, because the Amarna letters they're not written in hieroglyphics, they're written in cuneiform. And while completely insane people like Dr. Josh can read cuneiform, and it's probably the cuneiform that made him insane, because obviously,
That's valid,
just look
honestly.
at it.
I've tried. So other languages, I can discern individual letters, and I'm like, this is clearly a language. I don't know the words, and I don't know the representations, but this makes sense as a language. I look at cuneiform, and I'm like, a toddler took a stick and poked a tablet.
Yeah, it's like, how can this? I can take a stick and make this little bird marks, but like with hieroglyphics, oh, that's extremely blown up.
Uh-huh. You know me, I do like to blow things up.
You and me both.
It's blow things up, people. You can't forget the up.
No, that's important. Oh, there you can see that. It's like with hieroglyphics, you can clearly see the various signs. They are distinctly different from one another. This is insanity. So those
Yes, gel cap tablets.
different kind of tablet.
I don't even bother with the tablets. I just put the medicine in a cup and chug it. Well, that's not entirely true, because like
I like to grind it up.
I've got this medicine that I'm supposed to swallow, and I've got this other medicine that I'm supposed to inject, and this other medicine that I'm supposed to put under my tongue and let it dissolve. And so like I do have a liquid medicine, but it's an injectable. But like stuff that normally comes in gel caps, like, cold medicine or whatever, for that, I'll just take the liquid medicine and just drink. It's not important. Go on, Deviant.
Yeah, so I have not read these tablets myself because of the cuneiform. I cannot read cuneiform. I have been searching because there are translations of them. And once I had thought I had found a translation of not all of them. There are 380, I believe, something like that, tablets. It turned out that that was not actually the. It was supposed to be an ebook within the public domain, but it was just a table of content and telling us all that the ebook was free. And I was like, yeah, thank you. That's very helpful. But what I thought we should maybe start with, I don't know how much you said in the beginning, but to me, from an Egyptological perspective, of course, they are still important because of their content, and I can tell you a bit about it.
Yeah,
But
absolutely. But yeah, I mean, you may as well just take it from the top because it's been more than 20 minutes, so the entire audience has turned over already.
okay, good. So the first question is, what are the Amarna letters? What is Amarna? The Amarna letters was a cache of clay tablets that were discovered in the late 19th century, I believe around 1887 or something like that. And they were found by a woman who were out in the field. She was farming, I guess, for clay to make clay bricks.
1887, yes.
Oh, wow, I do remember some things. There are information in my brain. That's
Every
awesome.
now and then.
Every now and then things pop up. So she found these tablets, and they were sadly sold off on the antiquities market. They did come to the attention of some Egyptologists, one being Wallace E. Budge, who is an Egyptologist, or was an Egyptologist, and specializing on language, so linguistics and hieroglyphics. He's like the god, the figurehead, the origin of, not origin, but he's very, very famous. He's translated the Book of Gates, the Book of Going Forth, so the Book of the Dead series, and done translation of a lot of these texts. And he and another guy whose name I don't remember at the moment, some of these tablets came in their hands. They got their hands on them, and because at first it was questioned whether these were actually real or not, and it turned out they very much were. So the next question, of course, become, but what are they? Well, they are clay tablets. These are pieces of clay which have been written in and then burned in a kiln. And they are correspondence between Egypt and the surrounding states, primarily like the area of Palestine and the Levant and that that sort of strip, like northeast of Egypt. They're written in Canaanite Akkadian or Akkadian. So cuneiform let me go back 3 moments, because it's also important to know the time frame we're working with. They are from around the middle to late 1300s, so the 14th century BCE, from the time of Amenhotep III and Akhenaten. And this is important not just because of what it says. So this places us in the 18th dynasty in the New Kingdom, if you go by the way Egyptologists divide that time period, or divides Egyptian history.
Sense. And that's one of the things that makes this so cool, is because it's a connection between the entire set of ancient Egyptian archaeology with the broader Eastern Mediterranean cultures going on at the time. But also it overlaps with that whole Levantine region of archaeology tends to be so preoccupied with the Bible. And that's why much of the scholarship around these letters is Bible scholars rather than archaeologists, historians and whatnot, because they're specifically searching. They don't care about the cultural dynamics of the time or what was going on between the Akkadian kings and the Babylonian kings and the Philistine kings and what the fuck ever else is going on at the time. They just want to like dig through to cherry pick out confirmation that the conquest was real. They want the Bible to be true, and that's all that matters to them, and it's infuriating.
Yes, there is a lot of that with these letters. And so the reason why, because I'm always skirting this line, like I don't want to over explain things. I don't want to like patronize people, and I always find it kind of difficult to know how much do people know, because I used to go by just, if I know it, everyone knows it, because I'm stupid and don't know anything. And then people have told me that,
That's actually how people started to convince me that I actually wasn't an idiot. As I'd say, listen, I'm dumb. If I know a thing, everyone knows it. And people would be like, Ember, bestie, not everyone has read The Lord of the Rings. Not everyone knows Pythagoras' theorem off the top of their head. Not everyone can do polynomial without paper. Like, what is wrong with you, Ember? Like, you are an idiot because you don't realize that you're not an idiot.
I actually had a friend who said, you're not stupid, you're just dumb.
I blame the tism, honestly, because when people tell me stuff like, Ember, you're the dumbest smart person I've ever met, they're referring to my social ineptitude, like presuming that because I know something, everyone else must know it because I'm clearly a dummy. Or when people try to flirt with me and I just blank-faced respond literally, it's the damn tism. I don't get the cues, you know?
I understand. I do not have the said tism. I have a sort of tism. But it turns out that trauma actually creates some similar symptoms.
Funny you
and
should
also,
mention.
I might have been heavily indoctrinated by my brother, which is extremely likely. Plus, Tourette's helps.
That's an
or
oof.
doesn't.
I'm just now putting my Ankh on because again, tism. I don't think of things I was like, I want something that'll show up with the outfit, and the Ankh will get lost. But like, we can't do Egypt stuff without the Ankh on. Duh, Ember. Even if y'all can't see it, it needs to be there.
Needs to be there.
Yeah.
It's life. It's actually life as in the afterlife. The life-giving force that is divine and given to us in the afterlife.
Now, now that you mention it, Deviant, I wonder, a lot of people, myth makers, humans are, storytellers all, a lot of people see the resemblance between the Ankh and the Venus symbol from the Greeks, and they notice that Greece is like right across the ocean, and they're like, isn't it weird that the symbol for female and the symbol for life are almost the same symbol, and these cultures are so close to each other? Is there anything to that? Is it just a coincidence, or did did one cause the other, or?
So that's a good question. I would say that it's a coincidence. It's the way that we humans like to see patterns, whether they actually have a foundation for those patterns or not. Because so the Ankh symbol is very, very old. It's thousands of years older than the Greeks.
Oh yeah, it precedes written Greek by a lot.
Yeah, and without having like deep knowledge about where or how did this symbol come up in the Greek context, what I can say is that it's quite the leap to go from the concept of the Ankh in ancient Egyptian to like just female. There really is no connection between those two, because I have seen peddlers of random woo on the internet go to claim that, oh, it's a symbol of the reproductive semblance, like it's the uterus with the what are they called, äggstockar, the little trumpets that go out from the uterus that I don't know the name of.
Do you mean queefs?
They go to where the egg
when air
comes
passes
from.
out?
No.
I'm like, what are we talking about? Oh,
No,
fallopian tubes. Yes.
Oh,
now that
fallopian tubes.
now that
Yes,
JJ
yes,
has
yes.
said it, it's obviously what you mean.
Yes, the fallopian tubes. And being like, oh, look, it's exactly the same. First of all, it's not the same at all, unless you have your fallopian tubes down in the vaginal canal. And I don't know of any
Keep
woman.
them where you want.
As we know, the uterus wanders around in the body, so yeah.
Hey, fun fact. Wandering uterus is a medical diagnosis that's returning to the American healthcare system. You can now get psychiatric therapy for a wandering uterus again.
No. No. Why? No. That, I actually don't really know how to react to that.
What's
that? Is, I don't really know how to react to that, because that's just, it's beyond comprehension.
It's almost like there's a whole group of people who are going, what is the stupidest thing we could possibly do? And then they do that thing, you know?
Mm-hmm.
As opposed to the folks who come here, like, Cosmic Kyle, who just sent us a super sticker for $1.49.
Ooh.
Unfortunately, the machinery doesn't let me show what the super sticker is, but if you can see the live chat, whether in live or in replay, you see that it's a chain of hearts. It appears like a little heart, and then a medium heart, and then a big heart. And yay!
Oh, thank you, Kyle.
Thank you, Kyle.
Yeah. So the og is actually a sandal strap. It's the image of a sandal strap. And people might then go, yeah, but how do you know that? Well, that's a good question, of course. But there's a very simple answer, being that in ancient Egyptian, when I'm not going to hype, when you write hieroglyphics in ancient Egyptian, you have something that's called determinatives. And determinatives are signs that are used to denote the category of things you are talking about. So, for instance, a scroll of papyrus is used to show that the word you are trying to communicate is an abstract concept, or the image of a man and a woman denotes that we are talking about people, we are talking about men and women. And the determinatives are absolutely fascinating, and I love them so much. They are beautiful and wonderful, and yes, I could talk an hour about them. I will not, but
I know the
if
urge.
and I'm trying to make my brain go back to what I was supposed to say. So
It's hard, but it's
it's
okay. 'cause
really
people do
hard.
come here for the tangents. People also come here for the lulls and the lils.
Oh,
Lil sends us a super chat for $2. Thank you, Lil, and says the Empress and Diva best combo ever.
thank you, little harlot.
That's probably the sweetest use of the word harlot I've ever heard. Thank you, harlot.
But she's my little harlot.
I know. It's for anybody who isn't it, it's a joke that goes back to like several streams ago, and I think on an entirely different channel.
It was
it's a whole
Mark.
thing. It's before.
Mark Reed's like member stream. So yeah, if you have, because hieroglyphs can have several, they can be either the phonetic value or a determinative, so they can be used as, I should say, or a determinative, or they can be what we call ideograms. So when the sign symbolizes the thing that the sign depicts. And when they are used in that sense, when they are used as an ideogram, we show that they are used as an ideogram by putting a straight line underneath it or beside it. So when in text where it speaks about sandal straps, you have the onch and this determinative straight line. So it would be very weird if the text talking about, I don't know, I walked so far that I had to buy a new uterus. What? The king ordered 5,000 uterus. What? No, it's sandal straps. It's very, very clear. Don't buy everything you see on the internet. There is a lot of BS out there.
Do you reckon that maybe one of the things, like there's parts of the Bible, for example, where like David, the King David, like buys his wife with 200 foreskins? Could it have been that kind of error where like somebody was like, I need to buy 200 uteruses? Like, could it have been
Ooh.
something that actually made sense back in the day?
I mean, it actually does make sense to buy them with foreskins, or maybe not as much foreskins as it would have in penises or hands.
Okay. I kind of get that. Like foreskins alone seems really gross, but like, you
Yeah.
know, sometimes in history people would collect scalps to prove how many kills. Sometimes they'd take
Mm-hmm.
ears, sometimes they take hands, but hands are big. Penises,
Yeah.
especially without the blood in them, are pretty
Mm-hmm.
small. So taking a penis
Exactly.
means you definitely killed that man.
Exactly. And we know that the Egyptians had that as a tradition. We have both, of course, um, wall inscriptions or wall carvings that depict this tradition, but we also have archaeological um remains, so findings of like pits filled with just right hands or the skeleton of said hands. Um,
It's quite a
and
collection.
from that we can, if we haven't found a pit of penises, mainly because
The
humans
penis
don't have
pit.
penis bones. It's a penis pit. It's a penis pit. It's a pit. A
You're gonna
dick
kill
pit.
the right hands. Like that makes sense in different contexts though, like because you know even back from the Code of Hammurabi there was
Hmm.
certain crimes you'd lose your hand, like if you stole something you'd get one or both hands cut off, so you could
Yeah.
still live without your hands. It wasn't proof of death, but also that could be a sign of one of those kinds of punishments. We have all the right hands because this is where we threw the hands of all the people who stole loaves of bread or whatever, you know.
Yeah, but that wasn't that common. It was much more common in Egypt to cut off the nose of a person
Oh,
who had committed like a minor crime. Yeah, because that couldn't, if you have had, say you were missing a hand, that could have been an accident or something like that. But if your nose, or you could hide it under clothing, but if your nose is gone, everyone is going to know that you have done something really, really terrible. So
that's
noses,
really fucked up.
sometimes even ears. And also, you are much likely to die if your nose is cut off than if your hand is cut off because of the blood loss.
Oh, see, I was
Mm.
thinking without your hand, it's a lot harder to like earn a living. Or, I mean, if you're like right-handed and you're a sword fighter, then you're kind of screwed, you know?
Yeah,
But even just farming, like you can't use a bow unless you need both hands for that. It just,
that's true. But it's also the fact that if you were using a bow, you were definitely in the army. Like, I wouldn't, yeah, I would actually say that bows were, sure, they were used for hunting, but hunting weren't like the main source of meat in ancient Egypt. Um,
oh, I see what you mean. Because they had agriculture, they had cattle.
exact,
They
exactly.
just, you didn't have to have a bow in order to, yeah, it wasn't necessary for survival the way it was. Well, I mean, obviously the ancientest humans didn't have it either until it was invented, but like once
Yeah.
it was invented, then everybody who needed it everyone used it, you know?
And also the fact that even though they had bows in like prior to the second intermediate period that precedes the 18th dynasty that we are talking about here, or supposed to talk about, they those bows weren't very effective. But during the second intermediate period, they learned from the Hyksos, the Hyksos that invaded or had. They didn't really invade Egypt per se, but they became like Egypt was divided into two fractions, where you had the Hyksos in the north and Egyptian rulers in the south. So, and the Hyksos were, at the start of it all, they were definitely superior to the Egyptians because they had the horse, they had the chariot, and they had the composite bow. And of course, the Egyptians quickly stole those things, and in the end, kicked the Hyksos to the curb, and went on to found the 18th dynasty, which, in my humble opinion, and everyone else's, is the best.
Is it because they got fan mail from the other kingdoms?
It's partly because of it. So we know from these, the reason we have these amazing cache, as I said, it's around 380 tablets with correspondence stretching both Amenhotep III and his successor Akhenaten. That, of course, has to do with the fact that Akhenaten had this whole religious revolution type of thing going on, out getting rid of all the thousands of gods and saying, no, we're going to only worship the Aten. And you can only do that through me directly. So, of course, there was a sort of power struggle, you can imagine, between the very powerful priests of Amun at the Karnak temple in modern day Luxor, ancient Waset or Thebes. And for whatever reasons, I have my ideas. Others have slightly different ideas. For whatever reason, Akhenaten decides, I'm going to leave Thebes and found and build my new capital city, which is going to be completely devoted to Aten. And we need new ground where no other gods have been before this. It has to be Aten's soil. No one else can be there. So he does this, which is a quite amazing achievement. Like, in the span of a couple of years, he manages to build a city, or he doesn't do it. Poor people we're not going into that part. He manages to build this city and move the entire administrative center and the religious center of Egypt to this city, along with around 50,000 people in just a matter of years. And obviously, with him, he brings some of the correspondence, because some of it is to his father, Amenhotep III. But when Akhenaten dies, having been at Amarna for around 10 to 30, let's say 10 years, around 10 years. The people who live there go like, fuck this shit. We are going back to the old ways. We have to go back to the old ways. And
We're
of course, this
making
is
Egypt great again.
exactly. Make Egypt great again.
Weird how that keeps happening, isn't it?
It is. But we also have to remember that if we talk about conservative values and tradition, there is no more conservative culture which explains, of course, their mega structures.
That must be it.
There is no more conservative culture than ancient Egypt. They were very much focused on don't fix what already works. We need to stay in. And I could again I every this is annoying because every fucking word I speak, I'm going like, yeah, but Deviant, you cannot not just say that. You have to explain this and this, and this connects to this, and this connects to this. Goodness.
Okay, new option for the name of the show. Tangent time.
Yay!
I have a topic, but we're not going to talk about that.
No. So they go back. They completely abandon Akhenaten, the name of which is modern day Tel El-Amarna, and go back to Thebes and to the old gods and all of that good shit. And this means that the city of Amarna or Akhenaten is just left as is.
Like
And
they just abandon the they don't even bring the
Yep.
fucking letters with them, which is why we
Nope.
found letters there. They just nope, we're done. This is an abandoned army base, palace, complex,
Yep.
whatever. We're just noping. No.
Everything that had to do with I mean a couple of generations later, the entire period, it's like if you look at king lists from like Ramesses II, he liked to do king lists for not succession, but to validate his claim, because they were a new kind of family dynasty that came to the throne. So by making these king lists showing like, no, we're not new here. We actually go back to the first king, to Narmer, to the unification of Upper and Lower Egypt. But they didn't really like the whole heretic king thingamajig. They didn't like that at all. So there is like a cut where you see you have Ramses II, which succeeds Seti the first. Seti the first, which succeeds Ramses the first, which comes from Horemheb. But they kind of end at Ramesses the first, and then there is a jump to Amenhotep the third. So they cut out Nathan, they cut out Nefertiti, they cut out Tutankhamun, and most often Horemheb. So when they left Amarna, since Amarna was built on this idea of the Aten and Akhenaten's whole religious revolution, they basically they bring with them the clothes they have and their furniture, um, but everything is kind of left as is, which is why we have things like the beautiful bust of Nefertiti. They also brought, like, they brought with them their dead to rebury them in non-Aten ground, so to speak. And the city was forgotten about. No one talked about it. The visage of Akhenaten and Nefertiti and all of them were erased from monuments, and it wasn't until the early 1800s that during the expedition of Napoleon to Egypt, that they found like traces of something had been there, but they didn't know what it was. They didn't like consider it very important, probably. And in like 1830 something, there was a bit of digging done, but not much. And it wasn't until like the later half of the 1800s that they really started to figure out that something major was here. And then these letters were found. And as I said, at first they didn't even know if they were real or just
because there was a lot of antiquities fraud back in the day. I mean, there
Yes.
still is, but it was like rampant back then.
Oh yeah, it was absolutely wild, and very, very tragic. Today, as far as I know, most of the Amarna letters are. I know they are at the Bode Museum in I believe it's Berlin. It's in Germany. I believe it's Berlin. And then, of course, British Museum. Where else? And I also think there are some that are featured at the Louvre in Paris. But these letters really give us an insight in how did like international politics, how did it work, how did these people speak with each other, did they speak with each other, what did they talk about? And as you said, Ember, sadly these letters have been how do you say, not appropriated, but kind of there has been
Absconded with and distributed and
yeah, for religious purposes, to kind of, as you said, prove the Bible.
Archaeological malpractice is still wild. I was watching a video a few weeks ago about a guy who like had gotten his hands on like not the sarcophagus, but like the headpiece that goes over the physical mummy of a real mummy. And he was like, all right, cool, we have a piece of ancient history here. And then he just takes a hammer to it and just shatters the damn thing, because apparently it's made with a certain kind of plaster that used paper on the inside, or papyrus or something paper-like. And sometimes that paper happened to be like Dead Sea Scroll age Christian writing or some shit. And so he's like just smashing these artifacts to get to what he's hoping is like a new fragment of Isaiah that no one's seen before or something, you know?
I mean, this is I hate to say this, but it's true.
Still
There is a
doing
trend. There's a
it's
trend on the internet among creators of that peddles like pseudo archaeology, pseudo history, and that sort of thing. Some of these people have ginormous platforms, so they get their followers to donate money to them, and they go down to like not Israel, what's Palestine, and to Egypt, and so the Levant and the what's the word for old Mesopotamian area, and Egypt, and sometimes they break into excavation sites. They buy artifacts on the black market and bring them home to try and prove the validity of everything from, and it's not just like the Bible, it's things like ancient aliens or the ancient apocalypse, that sort of thing, and they destroy them to like show their audience that it's all fraud. And of course, none of these people, that of in and of itself should tell you that these people aren't interested in actual history. They are not interested in what is true. They are interested in fame and money. And that's it.
It's just a scam, and you can destroy artifacts to do like.
Mm-hmm.
I have a problem with
Thousands of years
to begin with. Fuck.
Yeah, I mean, these are thousands of years old artifacts. And let me tell you, if you find one artifact that's thousands of years old, you have one. It's not like you can't just go to, I don't know, Walmart in the US and there's a shelf of them. And every single artifact has a value that is way, way, way beyond what you would pay for it on the black market because of the information that it contains. But
yeah, they're not just old; they're unique.
No,
like even
exactly.
if it's similar to another artifact, it could be 100 years removed and from the other side of the kingdom with different features about it that archaeologists could be like, aha, look at the way this is done. It means it was done with this tool, which proves these people did do this thing. Like you can learn so much from any one artifact. Drives me a little bonkers. And this appeals to my as well, I have to say, because like I've always been like that. There's unique properties about every single thing humans do. Sometimes it's not significant, but they're there. Sure. I had trouble. I used to love Lego, right? Like I loved Lego, building all kinds of things. But once I built a thing, I was very hesitant to unbuild it so I could build something else because I've created an artifact and there's now unique properties about that thing.
Yep.
Damn it, Ember.
Yep. I sign under that line.
Yeah, it's rough. But one thing that makes it better is people saying nice things in my general direction, or in my specific direction. Fro from Norway sends us a super chat for 50 NOK, Norwegian krona. Thank you, Fro, and says, I just wanted to give some money to the prettiest girl in the universe, Ember, and I'm so happy to see you alive today. Thank you, Fro. I'm happy to see me alive today too.
Hey,
I'm
Fro.
still working on how to handle compliments, but I appreciate it. And Fro also jumped right up to Cinder level as a member here on the YouTube.
Oh,
So Fro has like
that's
not just
so.
all the cool emojis and all the members exclusive stuff like member streams and members only content and whatnot, but also we'll get his name in the credits when I record them for the next month. And you can too if you want to be a a Cinder level supporter. Any
You
level of
definitely
support
should.
helps. It really, really, really helps because everybody else on YouTube, I get it. We're all trying to like grow our channels, and having more funds means we can do more. But in my case, this is how I afford food, and so it really helps.
Okay, dear audience, let me tell you, Ember is real cheap. You get a lot out of her, and you won't even notice it on your bank account. She's super cheap and she's really giving. So
You
if
making me
you
sound like a floozy just because I show a booby on most live streams. In fact, I grab my booby on stream from time to time. I should make that a thing. Every time somebody sends a super chat that's in pretty colors, or like does I don't want to do just Cinder, but I don't want to make it like all memberships because sometimes people give away gift memberships and then it would just get silly. But like, I don't know. When something significant happens, I'll make it a thing to like just grab my booby on stream.
Mm-hmm. I'm
I'm
very
sure.
jealous of your booby.
Yes. It's so soft, folks, except for the feet. The feet, they have metal in them. So I have a perky booby. It
Oh,
stands up on its own.
oh, I want that booby. I want to squeeze your booby, but I also want a booby of my own to squeeze.
Don't we all? Oh my goodness.
So no,
Not
she
wrong.
does. She does. She.
All right, folks. I need to take a quick break to hydrate. Great. Hey, folks. I've been working hard on my health, and so far I've lost over 140 pounds. A huge part of good health is hydration. That's why I'm thrilled to partner with Epic Water Filters. Check this out. Not only can you say goodbye to expensive bottled water, but these filters are made in the US, so no tariffs, and they're made to fit your life. From these lovely pitchers I can fill from, to sink units, to portable filters that fit in your reusable bottle. With Epic, I can refill from nature's water sources and not have to worry about bacteria and whatnot. But also, send back a used filter to be responsibly recycled, and they'll send you a free replacement, saving you and the earth even more. Want to save a ton of money, be healthier, and build a better world? Head to epicwaterfilters.com and enter code EMBER15 at checkout for 15% off. Don't settle for random water. Upgrade to Epic. Hell yeah.
Epic.
I wasn't sure where I was going to squeeze that in today, but then I'm like, I need a break. Also, my heater was running, and I had to turn that down too.
I was going to say something, but I won't say that. That's
artifact forgery. Right. So we didn't know if they were fake artifacts or if people had just made off with real artifacts and were just selling them all willy-nilly, and some people were buying them and they were going into private collections and museums all over the place, and everyone was like, no, this is not how you do the science. But no,
because this and it's funny that you say that, because this this discovery comes at the same in the same period of time where archaeology and Egyptology starts to go from just treasure hunting to an actual science. Because in the beginning, I mean, Egyptology as a subject originally was to to prove the Bible and to get a lot of goodies like gold. And speaking of gold, one of the things that's very funny about these letters is, first of all, you notice that the foreign kings writing to Egypt are very whiny.
Right. There's an important distinction there. There's two different groups of letters, broadly speaking.
Yes.
There's letters from the minions, the people who are subject to Egypt, who are under the Egyptian aegis, who they start their letters with like, "Oh, great king, oh, incarnation of the sun," or other flattery, flowery words like that. And the tone of the letter is very, "I am your poor servant." Whereas the letters from the other actual sovereign rulers are like, "My brother, things in Babylon go amiss," or whatever. Like they talk about trade goods and stuff instead of just sucking up. And what Deviant's talking about is the vassal letters, where they whine about the other vassal lords.
Yep.
It's neat. And also, while I'm interjecting, real quick, like Eric Wander uses a member chat for 30 months.
Oh my goodness.
Fucking incredible. And
Thank you,
asks,
Eric.
Amarna letter EA 271 mentions the power of the Apiru. Some scholars link the Apiru to the Hebrews, though that is not the consensus. Any thoughts on that?
So, yes, the Apiru is mentioned in the letters. I wouldn't say that the consensus is that they are not. I actually wouldn't say that there is a full consensus, but in my humble opinion, the consensus rather goes in the other direction, that these are in fact the Hebrews. I think that has to do, that consensus, because as I said, these letters are, while found in Egypt and while dealing with the not connections, the sometimes it really is. I can tell you that Swedish too is very hard sometimes. The communications between the foreign states and Egypt, they're not in they're not written in hieroglyphics. They're not written in hieratic, and not in ancient Egyptian. That's the word I'm looking for, ancient Egyptian. So there has been mostly it's Assyriologists and that sort of people who actually read these, because they can decipher them. They can read the first-hand account. As soon as it's translated, it's no longer a first-hand account. And where was I? This had to do with, the Apiru. I think that the consensus that I would say leans towards it being the Hebrews is tainted by this biblical narrative. I don't think there is an actual connection between these two. And fun fact, Dr. Kip, whom I don't think he's in chat, but maybe he's lurking, actually asked me the last week when you were talking about us doing this stream, asked me about what's his name, Anson, not Haley, Rayleigh, something like that, who's a scholar and a linguist, his hypothesis is that it's rather talking about a class of people, like a lower class. It's a derogatory term, not the pejorative. That's not when you
It
decide
seems to
something.
be like a term that went through evolution, right? Like, because the term could be Apiru appears to be short for Habiru, which sounds vaguely like Hebrew, and that's enough for a Bible scholar. Habiru,
Yeah,
Hebrew sounds about the same, so it's probably the same word. You know, we've all seen those sorts of games in apologetics before, but it goes deeper than that. It appears that the term, just my surface level quick research here, it appeared in the Fertile Crescent region between 1800 and 1100 BCE, and it referred to people outside of society who were displaced, who were marginalized, often outlaws, bandits, mercenaries, but it was people who were pushed out. It was almost like not even being the lowest caste of society, but being outside the caste system, complete outlanders, even though they're from your region. The people that you banish, right? Like if a person breaks a certain law, you banish them. That's that group. And over time, because it became associated with these undesirables, these people who are not part of society, outlanders and outlaws, it started to become a pejorative.
Right. And so because when Kip mentioned this last week, I have since because I was like, oh yeah, that's a really good question, and I have looked into it somewhat to some degree. What strikes me as, and this is difficult because again, and I cannot say this enough, the tablets are written in cuneiform, which I don't read, or I can't read. When translated to ancient Egyptian and written in hieroglyphics, the word is not the word apiru, which is the W at the end, the U, is a plural form. It shows that it's a plural form of the word. But it's not followed by the determinative that is used for people group, as in like a nomadic people, or the people of a country, or like Egyptians. It doesn't have that determinative. And why is that? I'm not sure. It's very difficult to say because of this translation, but the word, let me see, where is there we have it. I found it.
Eureka!
My Middle Egyptian dictionary. Let's see.
Isn't a Middle Egyptian dictionary sort of like having a second millennium dictionary of English?
I'm not sure what this.
Centuries, and the words changed a lot in that time.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Though since this is so Middle Egyptian is like the basis for what you unless you're going into becoming a specialist on ancient Egyptian, the language, you don't need more than Middle Egyptian. It's kind of the standard. But it's true what you say. It does change a lot over time. And we know, for instance, and don't ask me how they have figured this out because that's way beyond me. But Akhenaten, his name is spelled like Akhenaten. But it's more likely that his name in that time were pronounced something like Akanyati, which so instead of Aten, it's Yati. But it's spelled the same way.
Well, I mean, being an English speaker, I can't really blame people for spelling things very differently from how they're pronounced.
No, and I mean, we see that's why I love the comparison with language when we try to explain evolution. Language to me is the perfect analogy to make how languages develop over time. We still speak Swedish in Sweden, and we have spoken Swedish in Sweden for hundreds of years. But exactly where did we go from Norse to Swedish? And exactly where can we make that distinction between today? Norwegian is one language. It's a distinct language. It's not just a dialect of, we're not dialects of one another. We are distinct languages, but we are extremely close. And we all used to have the same language. We used to speak the same language, but we don't anymore. And I find that, as I said, near spot on comparison with evolution.
Yeah, it's same thing with other language groups, like French and Spanish, for example, are literally the same language with different vocabulary, like the grammar structure, the way you construct your sentences, the syntax, everything is the same. It's just the words that fill in those structures are different. And many of them are very closely related. Sometimes it's even the same word. So they're clearly descended from the same language. But where we know the mutual ancestor is Latin, but at what point a Latin-speaking mother gave birth to a French-speaking child isn't clear, you know?
Exactly. Yeah, no, and like I fully understand or understood, because they're sadly no longer alive, or sadly they would be well decades over 100 years old. But my grandparents, I have no trouble to understand them or letters that they have left. But at some point it starts to be more difficult to understand. And of course, when you don't have a standardized system for grammar and spelling and that sort of thing, which actually is very new. I mean, it's like 150 years, give or take, if you look at Sweden as an example, which of course is the country I know best. I wonder why. But quickly, Aperu in ancient Egyptian, there are several words that are spelled slightly different. I mean, using a different set of signs, but they have the same phonetic value. Can mean workmen, for instance, or sailors. It can even mean like manning a vessel. Like if you man a ship, for instance.
Okay.
So it has several usages. As I said, again, one way, because they didn't have a systemized like official rules for spelling, you more or less have a system where each scribe can change around which how they use it. Sometimes it's very comprised, sometimes it's more drawn out. It has to do with the aesthetic of things and a lot of different variables.
It makes me think of Ben Franklin, one of the U.S. history lore's most brilliant minds ever, kind of thing. But in one of his letters, he wrote the word sovereign, and he spelled it 3 different ways. Like every time he used it, he spelled it differently because there was no consistency of spelling. And he very strongly believed that as long as the person understood your message, then successful communication was achieved. And super specific spelling didn't really matter. And he's not wrong. But there's an argument to be made for the other side to say that if you mangle your spelling, you diminish the probability of achieving successful communication. But that's a tangent upon a tangent. The point is that people have always kind of done that. As long as the idea is communicated to the intended recipient, who cares if archaeologists can unravel what the fuck you meant, you know?
But to your point, it is important to, because the single reason why you write something down is, of course, to communicate your thoughts, ideas, what have you, to another person or to yourself at a later point in time. So you might then ask, but if because it's not just using a variation of hieroglyphic signs to write the same word, you can also rearrange them because they fit more. They fit better in this the schematic that they use. Not schematic, but the scheme of, not the scheme of things. Do you understand me? Am I making sense? I don't think so. Maybe.
I just go with it. I'm never making sense myself. I just say things, and sometimes people understand what I mean, and it's fine. But yeah, I'm my understanding is that it isn't clear precisely what's being said for a few different reasons. One has to do with the idiosyncrasies and licenses people take with how concepts and phrases are spelled, but also because of ambiguity of specific terms, which we see today. Like sailor, for example, it could mean to a person who is in the U.S. Navy, who may or may not serve on an actual ship, or a person who works on an actual ship, like a fishing boat. Or you may just be, saying hello to a dude in a bar. What's up, sailor? Like it could mean a bunch of different things. So all these different levels of ambiguity make it harder to be clear about what the letters, which were first and foremost letters, are actually trying to say.
Exactly. And here these beautiful, amazing little signs that we characterize as uh, determinatives come in, because the determinatives are used specifically to clarify that I'm not talking about a random dude. I'm actually talking about a person who has a boat and is managing that boat, or is helping the boat to sail. And again, when in other cases, and this goes like, there are no, I have yet to see exceptions of the rule that when we are talking about a group of people, a, 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 a people group, you see the determinative for people group. You don't with upper. But again, is that coincidence? Does it have to do with the transcription from cuneiform to hieroglyphics? I don't know, but we, to my knowledge, we don't really have the Hebrews as we know them from the Bible, etc. They don't seem to be around at this time in history. Like,
Okay.
and of course, you could argue that no, but this is the first and only mentioning. I mean, it was a fluke that we found these letters. It was a woman out in the field digging up clay.
Isn't it weird though that like the locals knew of the ruins? They even referred to one of the buildings as like the pharaoh's record building or something like that. Like they knew it was ruins from an old dynasty.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they had no idea how old, but I mean, pharaoh stuff in the modern age is automatically going to be old.
Yeah.
And yet no archaeologists seem to be aware of it. Were they just doing bad at their jobs and not going to locals and being like, hey, was there a pharaoh's palace around here ever? You know, like how did no one know? You know?
I think you're onto something there. I think it has a lot to do with the colonialism of it all. The white man goes into this brown North African country and saves the artifacts, the history, yada yada yada. We should not diminish and absolutely never forget that archaeology and Egyptology, and the same goes for Assyriology, originally very, very, very racist reasons for what they did, a very racist way of thinking about things. And in like the 18th and 19th century, specifically, but I mean, even into the way into the 20th century, and sadly, in some people's minds still today, you have this idea that they are just simple people who are just barely human, and they definitely, sure, they are human in some sense, but of course they have nothing to offer. They're just down with their nose in the mud, and more or less farm animals.
Right. They have no history because they're so primitive.
Exactly. And
then when it turns out they have 6,000 years of history, you're like, oh, that was unexpected. Because they just went with assumptions.
Yeah, and I mean, it used to be, and even at the time when I was in university, and learned about these things to begin with. So back in the late 90s, early 2000s, it was quote unquote common knowledge, though it wasn't knowledge at all, but common knowledge that the ancient Egyptians were not the same people who inhabit Egypt today. The idea was that specifically during the time of starting with the Christianization, but later on the Islam coming in and Arabs coming into Egypt and kind of erasing the actual Egyptians and taking over. Today, we know because there has been genetic studies done on mummies as well as modern day Egyptians, and we can see that they are actually the people who are living in Egypt today are the same people with the same background as those who lived there thousands of years ago. But this was very tough for the white man to accept, because suddenly you have African people who has created this glorious empire and this magnificent statues and monuments and works of art. And as I said, as much as it saddens me, and it actually does, I feel, it really makes me sad that people still today, and we see a rise in this idea that no, it has to have been some long lost civilization with people who are actually of more European white descent. And then you have the counter action of that, where no, it's actually like sub-Saharan African people, and neither of those views are true, but one of them are, I would say, in the modern day, much more harmful than the other. We need to accept the fact that just because we are Europeans or have fucking pig
in central Anatolia
colored skin.
Didn't mean to play the dang thing.
That's okay. I was just very confused for a moment because I wasn't looking at the screen.
Yeah, I was changing screens around and whatnot, and I'm like trying to dig up more information on things, and you know me, I'm like always doing 15 things at once.
Oh, you and me both. You and me both. No, but we have to accept that we are all humans, and I'm as capable as anyone else, or less so, than people thousands of years ago. Not having what we have today doesn't mean that we're not capable of these magnificent accomplishments. In fact, we wouldn't have what we have today without them.
Right. We can't, as we're constantly talking about, you can't have microscopes until humans figured out how to grind lenses, you know, like each thing we have is built on the preceding things. But also there's things the ancients had that we do not have because we've gone through a few dark ages and shit and we haven't recovered them yet. Like, for example, indoor plumbing, we only got back around 100 years ago. The ancient Romans had it. We went for over 1,000 years without it because we lost it in a dark age. Thanks, Christianity. But to presume the ancients are dumber because they lack some bit of modern knowledge, humans across all of history are humans. There are dumb ones, but there are very fucking clever ones, and they're the ones who push progress forward.
Exactly. And humanity, humans, Homo sapiens, we are as a species very, very, very capable of survival and of using our environment and the tools that we have available to us to survive and to forward ourselves. We have very curious minds. We want to know what's on the other side of the mountain. So we're going to try to get there, whether we have a lift or an airplane or just the feet on the end of our legs. Like, we're very durable in that sense.
Yeah, by now y'all have heard on one stream or another about the races between humans and horses because humans are endurance critters. Even though the horses can go faster, they get tired, whereas humans can just keep going. And that's more, I would argue, than tools or language or even our cool sciences. That has been a fundamental aspect of human success. The reason we have all the other things is because when humans get determined about something, they just keep going.
Yeah, pretty much. And that used to be the way we hunted, and it still is today, actually, in some areas of the earth. Just tiring following the animal and until it's tired, and then we pounce. We don't pounce, but attack it.
Yeah,
we're kind of like cockroaches.
Oh my goodness. Bree says the only thing that comes close are wolves, and we decided not to compete with them, but to harness them. That's our other great thing, is our adaptation isn't so much to adapt as to make the environment adapt to us. And that's what led us into technology and shit in the first place. We're like, we don't have enough caves. Well, what if we make artificial caves?
Yeah, like we're this one animal that has the vastly largest impact on our direct environment. And I mean, today, especially since for fuck's sake, since the atomic bomb, no one's ever gonna compete with us.
Well, I mean, you could build a bigger bomb, but then you wouldn't have a planet to stand on to gloat about it.
Yeah, exactly. And we're trying to get there too, I'm afraid.
Oh my goodness. The fucking... So, when I was in the Navy, I played with a whole lot of very classified shit. But one thing that is not classified was research into antimatter. Can we weaponize antimatter? Why do we want to weaponize antimatter? Because while nuclear weapons are only 6% energy efficient, what happens with a nuke is when you either fuse the atoms to make a bigger nucleus, or you split a big nucleus to make smaller nuclei. Either way, your some of that mass is being destroyed and converted into energy, and it's only like 6% of the mass. But if you do it on like a kilogram of just 1 kilogram of uranium, for example, you do that all in the same instant, run that 6% through equals mc squared, and you've got, an explosion measuring in the kilotons, if not megatons. It's a vast amount of energy. Well, now picture that at only 6% efficiency. Antimatter is 100% efficient because it completely annihilates an exactly equal amount of matter. And so if we could make a bomb out of antimatter, we could make an H-bomb look like a child's toy. But there's problems. For one thing,
Yeah,
it's a
I
stupid
fucking
big
hope
bomb.
there are, because that sounds absolutely terrifying.
Mhm. We're talking roughly 20 times more powerful for the same amount of mass. That's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably closer
Yeah,
to 19.
that's kind
Whatever.
of mind blowing in more ways than one, I would say.
Mhm. But there's a lot of drawbacks, and one of the reasons it's not in any way classified is because it's basically a pipe dream. Like you can't use antimatter that way. Like to have antimatter in a containment to make it into a bomb, it doesn't really work. Like you could put it in Angels and Demons, the Dan Brown book. They had like a gram of antimatter or something, and that was the big MacGuffin. And it was like in this containment unit that used a magnetic field to keep the antimatter in place and shit, which only works if it's charged antimatter, but that's neither here nor there. But it had like a 24-hour battery, so you had a ticking clock on it. No, that's just not going to do the trick. And also moving the thing, if you shake a magnetic container, the thing inside is still going to wobble. And as soon as antimatter makes contact with regular matter, if it's the right sort of matter, like antihydrogen meets regular hydrogen, and remember, regular hydrogen is fucking everywhere on Earth, boom. So no, it's not really viable.
Thank fuck for that.
Also producing it, like to make antimatter, there's a couple different ways that you can make it, but you not only have to produce it literally particle by particle. You can produce a positron at a time with each, particle collision event, or you can take certain sometimes you can turn a proton into an antiproton with another certain type of collision in a particle collider, but it takes a whole particle collider sequence to make one atom of antihydrogen. So it's not very efficient, and it's very time consuming. It's just the whole process. People get this idea of like big number, huge boom, but it's not practical. Like it's not even impractical. Like getting the uranium for the original atomic weapons was impractical. It was a major hurdle that had to be overcome. And then people did, and they made a big fucking bomb. We're not talking about that. We're talking like all the energy our entire civilization produces for several years devoted to producing 0.5 gram of the stuff. It's not practical.
So what I'm left here thinking is, how long have you had these dreams of total annihilation of humankind?
I didn't say anything about using it on humans. What do you mean?
Well, it kind of seems like we would, what's the word? accidental victims. If
Oh, yeah. Bystanders,
yeah,
casualties, kind of things. Collateral
it,
damage, even.
collateral
No,
damage. There you have it. Kind
Evan,
of like dropping the H bomb on Hiroshima and Nagasaki and going, yeah, there were thousands of people who were injured and died, and but they were just bystanders.
yeah, that shit's not cool. No, there are in
No,
the
that's a good
future,
summary.
right? Like, no, don't wipe out huge populations, as Journey would say, like and share the stream instead, and you should. That also helps. But no, there's potential uses, like because it's 100% mass efficient, it could make like a kind of very long-term super high efficiency battery for like space flight reasons or something. And also the annihilation reaction is so mass efficient that you could use it as like a power source as well as a thrust vector in space flight reasons, you know? There's a bunch of different stuff you could make it into a drill if you really wanted to, like one particle at a time, pew pew pew. You just have to have like your shielding, because every single time a positron annihilates with an electron, gamma rays, you will fry yourself. One part, that's what positron emission tomography is we inject you with a radioactive substance that part of the reaction, the decay of the radioactive substance releases positrons, which are actually antimatter, because plot twist, there's antimatter inside normal matter. We didn't think that was possible for a very long time, but it turns out antimatter will only annihilate when it's an exact match, a positron with an electron. If you put a positron with a proton, they'll just ignore each other and in fact repel a little bit because they both have a positive electrical charge. But that's neither here nor there. So you've got the substance releasing positrons inside your body. The point is they're supposed to run into random electrons and annihilate so that it releases gamma rays. And then they put you in the machine to detect the gamma rays being emitted from your body, and they get a map of your body that way. It's not safe, but x-rays technically aren't safe either.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. Ask Marie Curie, and she won't tell you because she's very dead.
Is. Although I suspect by now she may have been dead anyway. It's been a while.
Probably very likely. So, Amber, in 5 minutes, I actually have another stream scheduled.
Oh goodness, you're popular. You're in high demand.
Yeah, we're doing a craft stream with Lil and Jess.
Oh, well, as it happens, this stream will automatically take everyone over to that very stream. It's already programmed in. So, yeah, stick around, folks, and join in the shenanigans yet to come in this day of show hopping that we like to set up. Also, there's a bunch of other stuff happening today if you're watching live, and if you're watching in the future, hello, future people. Thank you for joining us.
Hello, future people. I
hit
hope the
subscribe.
world is still around.
Yeah, live in the future. Hell yeah. John Hudson asks, will there be a part 2? Probably not specifically on the Amarna letters, but Deviant did pitch me an idea for another upcoming show. Specifically, Deviant's favorite pharaoh, the girl pharaoh. So stay tuned for that. It should be delightful and devilish and other deviant things. Delectable. Other we're gonna give you all the D's, folks. Oh my. All right. Well, so much for joining. Deviant, thank you for coming on. It's been a tremendous blast. And I know there's going to be a couple minutes in between, but Deviant also has to like switch streams and maybe refresh her coffee or something. So we're going to wrap up here.
Yeah.
I very, very much appreciate everybody. Cosmic Kyle sending a super sticker. Lil with a $2 super chat saying the Empress and Diva best combo ever. Fro 50 Knox says, I just want to give some money to the prettiest girl in the universe, Ember. I'm so happy to see you alive today. And you make me flutter a little bit, damn you. And upgrading membership. And Eric Wander, member for 30 months, saying Amarna letter EA 271 mentions the power of the Apiru, and some scholars link the Apiru to the Hebrews, though this is not the consensus. Any thoughts? And of course, we addressed that during the show. Thanks to all of you. Thanks to all of you for being here. And thanks everybody and all the things I can just keep thanking for days and days and days. We'll see you tomorrow.
You.
I believe we're returning to Göbekli Tepe. That should be fun.
Ooh, that'll be fun.
I may be mistaken, though. I am mistaken often. But it's on the list somewhere. Anyway.
Whatever it is, tomorrow, it's going to be interesting. And we're going to learn together live.
Oh,
With
roll credits. Literally. Thanks, everyone. Wow. Thanks to all our patrons and top-level members for January. Miranda, Karen Butcher, Jessica the Transmetal Alchemist, Robin Webster, Maya Adkisson, Jimmy Tux, Ian Chen, Lilith, Ember Lynn, The Barely Bearable Atheist, Eric Wander, Jason Jacoby, Lil of All Trades, Deviant Outcast, Secular Feelinist, Kelly King, The Detroit Atheist Queen, Geo Sam, Thriver Scapegoat, The Godless Engineer, Why Because Weed Bro, and Katie Bluebird. And you can add your name here next month by signing up at patreon.com/betterthanember or by joining Emberships here on YouTube at the Cinder level, which also includes all the custom emojis, tons of member-exclusive content, member-only live streams, and a bunch of other stuff. I deeply appreciate all the supporters who keep this channel going. Thank you so much. Because of you, we're building a wonderful community that I'm very proud of.
Just like a spark.